All right, everyone. Welcome to week 4 of our career development series. It is our final week of this series, and this is the before, during, and after progression in sports, events, and marketing. I am your host, Ryan Guy, your Jersey girl who moved to Colorado in 2019, and now here I am. It's almost 2021. I'm living the dream in Denver, working with amazing women in sports events and marketing. And we are going to get to meet quite a few of these lovely ladies tonight. Of course, I'm talking about our amazing board members of Denver Women's Sports Collective. You heard me right. We are talking to DWSC President Erin Lewis, Vice President Christina Mooney, Treasurer Allison Thomas, Events Chair Cheryl Morrison, Marketing and Branding Chair Stacy Vager, and our Membership Chair Caitlin Heckert. This week, we are going to be talking all you need to know about DWSC. We're going to get some insight from all of our board members, and we are going to give you all the resources we have. So get out your pen and paper because we have a lot of information tonight. And we are starting with Erin Lewis, President of DWSC, and Vice President Christina Mooney. Thank you both so much for being here and leading such an amazing group of women. Erin, I know you started DWSC back in March of 2020, and it is safe to say March started a very hectic rest of 2020. But nevertheless, of course, like the Northeasterner that you are, you did not let any of that stop you from creating this organization and organizing events. You began gathering a group of like-minded women, and now, less than a year later, Erin, you have carried out many successful events. First of all, could you tell me a little bit how you were feeling in the beginning of all of this, from starting up DWSC to now? What has this journey been like for you?
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I moved to Denver in October. So when I first moved here, I was looking for a women's group. I was part of one in the last 2 cities that I lived, and there wasn't one. So I was like, okay, perfect. Then I'll start one. I kind of reached out to some women who I knew were trying to start one here, who had kind of either lost time or like had children and just didn't have it in their schedule anymore, or their capacity. And I was like, well, I'm just living here by myself, so I might as well get this going. So I think, and what I kind of tell my staff all the time is this was really, they're always in this industry, they're telling you, you need to stand out, you need to separate yourself because it's very competitive. And I think this is the perfect time to help yourself to stand out, because a lot of people are dealing with things mentally, dealing with things physically, obviously getting sick. And how are you reacting to this time? It's a crazy time in the world. How are you, even if it's something as small as going out and starting an exercise routine, and say during this time you went out and trained for a marathon, right? It kind of just shows your work ethic, your mental capacity, and it really separates you from the next person in line. I think that was kind of my challenge, was I said, I'm going to start this group. A lot of people told me that there was no chance that it was going to work because of what was going on in the world. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to know that unless I try. And I've kind of always been that way. I'm not really scared to fail. So I was like, well, if I fail, then I'll learn from that and hopefully try to start over again. So I think it was the perfect time to start it. I think in a time where all sports were paused and we have 5 professional teams represented on our board alone. Once sports do start, it will be increasingly harder for all of us to meet at one point where one person doesn't have a game on any given night, any time of the year. So I think for us to get this started and have as much progress as we've had, I don't think there's any other time that would have been better.
I think that's definitely the way to show everyone your initiative and how serious you were about this. Because like you said, there were a lot of people who didn't think that that was the right time to start something. And it just goes to show you, if you have enough drive behind something, you can absolutely do that. So congratulations on starting this entire organization and being so successful.
I couldn't do it without this entire group of women. So I'm excited for you guys to all hear from them.
Absolutely. And Christina, could you share a little bit about how you first heard about DWSC and how you became the vice president?
Yeah, great luck in this in the universe. I am brand new to the sports field. I have 10 years event experience and including working with associations. So when I started at KSC in venue operations, private meetings and events, I was only working for maybe 2 weeks before we went into lockdown. So I had no time to meet anybody. And Kristen Gentry, excuse me, with venue operations at KSC sent out an email at the beginning of the pandemic talking about this association. And so I emailed Aaron and said, how can I help? I want to help. And an amazing friendship grew from it, something that we're going to be working together eventually post-COVID when games come back, but a lot of mutual respect because of what we've been through, pre-COVID and then during COVID. And so it was amazing to help her set this up and help her in any way that I could. And I truly thank KGE for sending out that email, because I would have never been in this position where I could have met so many wonderful women in such a short amount of time with being during a pandemic. How I became vice president, I have done a lot of event chair positions at associations. And so I said, that would be too easy. Like like I want to challenge myself, which is something that I try to push other ladies to do. And I said, let's just go for it. Let's do something different. Let's do something a little bit out of my comfort zone, but that I have knowledge on, and let's see how it goes. And it's been so much fun.
I think the theme of this too is that we both weren't afraid to take on a challenge, and I would kind of push that to everyone in this room. I've been there, I've been in sports. This will be my 12th season, which is absolutely crazy to me. But my first season, I was very, very scared to take risks, aside from the risk of moving across the country. That was enough. I was like, okay, that's my risk for the next year. But I think that when you do take risks and you're not afraid to fail, great things can happen. And the worst that can happen about your failures is you just have to start over. And don't get me wrong, I've definitely failed, but I think that it's worth it in this industry to take risks at the right moments at the appropriate time.
I love that you mentioned failing too, because I think that's a great way to learn and be better. Even though you have been very successful with this organization, like I said, what do you kind of hope for the future of DWSC?
We have very big goals and ideas, as you've been a part of some of them yourself, Ryan. But my passion and my why for starting this was I want everyone that's on our email list, everyone that's in the room for every event, to be introduced to their dream job, their dream mentor, their dream opportunity. I think that my kind of life motto and how I have modeled my whole career is around this idea of collaborate, don't compete. This isn't a competition. We need to be there to help each other. I think with girls, it tends to get lost in the mix, but I think that there really needs to be much more of a value added to every single person getting the opportunity of their dreams in sports. And that being said, they need to obviously have the passion and the drive themselves, but having that support system is crucial in this industry. So that would be my ultimate goal. It's obviously a very lofty one, but I think we just have some amazing stuff rolling out in the next year. Knock on wood, we can all meet in person and have amazing in-person events like we did at Mile High, and start using some of those relationships to host more events and have more people come out.
I think you should probably print on some t-shirts, collaborate, don't compete.
Well, I would, but I got that, and Stacy and I go to some virtual conferences with this company called Create and Cultivate, and I did get it from the founder of that. So I wouldn't want to take that from her, but maybe I can like come up with something that kind of sounds like that, you know, and I could coin that. But I went to that conference a couple years ago in person in LA, and it really stuck with me, especially with women in sports and in the business world in general. I just said that's such a great mentality, and that's kind of just the motto that I live by day to day.
Right. I think that is an awesome motto to live by. That one down myself. So thank you for sharing that, for sure.
Of course.
And Christina, I'll ask you the same question. What do you hope for DWSC?
I mean, honestly, first and foremost, I'm blown away of how successful it has been. Like even during a pandemic, I know that Erin had mentioned, that it was the perfect timing because we didn't have anything going on, but the support and the spotlight that we've gotten from this association has just been mind blowing. It has been so fantastic. I mean, we have our 501c3 is going to be filed next month, which is making us an official association where we can start fundraising for different programs that we want to do down the road. We have these live streams. We've got hopefully, upcoming podcast, and a wonderful relationship with one of the largest sports media groups. I mean, this has been phenomenal just on its own, but I am super ambitious. And just like Erin, I have very high hopes. So, for the future, I'm looking at trying to encourage us to get involved with other organizations. How do we partner with other female organizations that are in sports or in events? Getting backing from the teams and getting them as sponsors, or getting some sort of working relationship with the teams that we are working with on a day-to-day basis. Also building our our membership past the Denver metro area. I have amazing respect for Wise. They're a fantastic group, but I want to be better and I want to reach more. And that's kind of the 10-year plan, but that's one of my goals. And then my favorite so far, and this will come with the 501c and us being an official association and being able to fundraise, is being able to give scholarships to young ladies that are studying in sports events and marketing, so that way they can pursue their dreams. And I
think too, like in this industry, like I remember some of my internships, I'm going to date myself here, but I would work 2 internships. Internships did not legally have to be paid in sports at the time, so they were not. I would work at a radio station in the morning. I would sleep in my car. I would eat rice for lunch. I would go to work at the hockey arena till midnight. I would eat popcorn when I got home. It was like I moved to San Diego with nothing but an air mattress and probably $20 in my checking account. Like, I wanted it so bad, but it just shouldn't be that you can't do these things because you're financially unable. And it's just, we want to create opportunities to be like, if you want to be in sports and you have the passion and we see something in you, like we want to help in any way that we can. So there's just been so many ideas of being able to do fundraising and do all these really cool things. So we really truly are behind kind of our mission and our goal of helping everybody.
Yeah. And I think also, to add on to that, part of our development in our careers is being able to extend past what we already know from college and from our experience. Well, there's certifications that you can get in this industry. Those are very expensive. So how do we help our members achieve those? Because when you receive those, you get better jobs, you get better pay, you get respect among the community. So how do we get that to our members? And so that's why it's very exciting for us to become an official nonprofit organization, so we can fundraise and be able to help those individuals that are trying.
I think it's amazing. I every single person that I've met within this organization, whether it's board members or just members within the organization, you all are such ambitious, driven women, and it really shows. It rubs off on other people. I know it's rubbed off on me. So I just appreciate both of you, all of you, everyone that is a part of DWSC. And thank you for sharing some insight, Erin and Christina. We will be hearing more from you later this evening Next up, we have our treasurer, Allison Thomas, and our events chair, Cheryl Morrison. Allison, I met you at one of the awesome events that Cheryl coordinated back in October. We mentioned this a little bit earlier. It was at the Broncos Stadium, the Denver Broncos Stadium, and it was an amazing event. So thank you for coordinating that, Cheryl. But it's been absolutely incredible to be involved with DWSC, like I said, and I know it has been a great networking community for myself. Allison, could you share a little bit from your perspective as the treasurer and as a member of DWSC, how has the organization been a resource for you?
No, and that was an awesome event. And I remember meeting you and automatically, gosh, we just like clicked about something completely random, which is how it goes sometimes. But so DWSC has already been such a huge resource for me. Honestly, from day one of even learning about what this organization was and going to be. So I felt welcomed and I also felt comfortable, but I felt comfortable to go out of my comfort zone. I know that, kind of play on words there, but what's really cool about that, Ryan, is that I've been seeing that with other women as well, and other women with so many backgrounds. And that's really kind of where that resource comes in, into when you are a member. I've been able to learn from so many people already, and I know I've been able to teach people some things that I know from my background as well. And that's a really cool thing. And, it's just a good lesson that you can always learn something new from someone. You're forever learning, you're forever growing, and already with this organization, I have learned so many new things from people just because I decided to take that step out of my comfort zone a little bit and start doing things that interest me. And again, I can't stress enough, from day one, that has been highly encouraged. I think having an organization that we know we have at least one thing in common, that kind of helps make it a little bit easier and not quite as scary. And then from a treasurer standpoint, I do have a background in being a treasurer and, working with the finances of a club, but I haven't had the opportunity to do it with a startup nonprofit. So this is a huge resource for me to learn and grow on that as well. And again, already learning so many new things about it, which is super awesome. And I'm not done learning. I'm going to keep learning and keep growing off of it. But yeah, it's just a huge resource, so many different ways. But really what it comes down to is the people and the opportunities that you can make out of a group like this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned being comfortable, getting out of your comfort zone, and I know that was a little bit tough for me going to that first event that I went to, not knowing anyone, and then just being welcomed as soon as I got there by many people. Again, I had to kind of get out of my comfort zone as well, but that's what these wonderful events are created for. And Cheryl, what is it like being the events chair during all of this year that we've had a global pandemic? What has it been like for you?
Well, it's kind of crazy for me because I've never ran events. I've never planned events. I studied some of it in college, but this is the first time that I've actually been able to plan every single part of an event. And it's been crazy, but it's been really fun and really challenging. There's a lot to go into it that you don't see when you're on the outside of it. You just come into an event, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, but you don't see all the back work. And I think that's also how sports are too, is you don't see what goes on behind the scenes. And just being a part of that has been really fun. And I have a great group of women on our board who are very helpful, who are very knowledgeable, who I can turn to, because I was like, I don't know this question. I don't know this answer. I don't know what to do on this. Who can I go to? And the amazing women on our events board or committee have been really great helping. have to shout out to Christina because she's like my number one go-to if I need something, if I don't know what to do, because she knows it all. So she's been really great. Plus I have some friends over at the Broncos who work in our events department, and they've really been helping me. They're part of the collective as well, but they've really helped out and try to calm my nerves when some things don't go right and how to work in this pandemic. It's insane. The Broncos event really turned out well with all the restrictions that we had, and I think we did a really good job. And we got featured in the NFL's best practices newsletter, which was huge step for us. Like that was our first major event, my first major event, and we got featured in this newsletter that reaches every single NFL team and other teams outside of the NFL, which was really cool.
I think it's so amazing how many positives that we can bring out of just this organization in itself. It's been a very tough year, like we have mentioned many times before. And this organization has really been a great community, a great resource, like Allison said, and just a great way to get around a bunch of like-minded women who also are driven and want the same things. So it's been an awesome experience, and you both have really helped me personally in this organization. So I appreciate the both of you for that. Allison, I wanted to ask you, why did you join DWSC? And then what is your hope for the future of DWSC?
I joined DWSC. Gosh, I guess it kind of goes back to going out of my comfort zone a little bit from right when I, started talking to these women. I remember the first ever meeting we had. Cheryl, I think you might've been on it too, but it was just, everybody was like, hey, so we doing this? Let's do this. And it was so exciting because for me being out of college about a year and a half ago now, but I was trying to find ways to be involved in general. So having that be an opportunity just right there in front of me, I was like, I have to take this. I have to grab this. So looking into the future for this, it's really just about continuing to grow this group and continuing to be a resource for women and honestly men too in the sports, events, marketing industries. But not only that, continuing to network with other organizations. And I know Christina had mentioned that a little bit earlier, but we want to learn from other women in different industries. We want to continue to learn, continue to grow, and continue to help each other. Like Cheryl mentioned, like we're here for each other, and we want to be able to be open to be there for other organizations too. We have a lot of goals, a lot of plans. Many you heard from, our president and VP, but we're going to do it, and we're ready, and we're going to adapt. And that's something that from day one, we've been very adamant about. We've had this space that's inclusive and welcoming, and that is going to continue as well. It's going to really lead to some really amazing stuff, from supporting female students to supporting women in the industry to people outside of the industry, all of it. There's really endless ways that we can go with this. So I'm just really excited. I'll like go on a rant about it if I keep going, but
Absolutely.
Endless opportunity.
Yeah, and that's like what Erin mentioned earlier, collaborate, don't compete. I mean, it's just, I can't say it enough. Allison, you can't say it enough. It's just been a very welcoming organization. And I absolutely recommend, if anyone has any interest at all, to absolutely reach out to any one of us. And then Cheryl, before we talk to the rest of our board members, could you give us a little teaser about some of the upcoming events that we have going on for Denver Women's Sports Collective?
So we have a bunch of great ideas from the event committee. We'll talk about January's events at the end of the call, but we're looking at maybe a huge event in June or July. Is going to be kind of our annual event, all themed, lots of fun. We want to just help everybody. So a lot of these will be resources for you, fitness goals, financial goals, just I don't know, lots of good things. And then helping support our community. We want to help support our community during this tough time. So we're going to be looking into doing some things with our community and helping them as well. But I've got a lot of great ideas from our event committee, and I'm super excited to put those into action. And so everyone can join.
Awesome. So everyone will have to stay tuned and look out on social media for all of our upcoming events. Allison and Cheryl, thank you so much for your insight. We'll be hearing more from you later. And I wanted to let the audience know if they do have any questions, you can direct your questions to the Q&A. It's at the bottom of your screen. You can enter your questions there and we will try to answer them for you. But now we have heard from our president, our vice president, our treasurer, and events chair. Next up, we have our branding and marketing chair and producer of this virtual event, Stacy Vager, as well as our membership chair, Caitlin Heckert. And I also wanted to mention our secretary, Erin Gaston, unfortunately couldn't make it to tonight's broadcast. So Stacy will be answering some questions for Erin. So thank you so much for doing that, Stacy. And as far as our DWSC organization goes, Stacy, could you tell us how and why you got involved with Denver Women's Sports Collective?
I feel like that's such a hard question. I have so many reasons, and everything that the rest of the board has said, it falls in line, but I would say the biggest thing was just the networking piece. I feel like throughout my career, I've done a really great job of networking of everyone at Kroenke Sports, but I didn't know anyone outside of that. So this has really brought a new light to things. I've met women from the Rockies, the Broncos, even organizations in Denver that I didn't even know existed in the sports realm. But it's beyond sports too. It's events and marketing, and I want to make sure it grows to that distance as well. But I also wanted it to be kind of a one-stop shop of resources for women. When you're wanting to learn, and especially during this pandemic right now, it's like everybody's leaning on those, webinars or trying to learn something new. And it's, going to LinkedIn or, finding this conference. And I want everything to be in one place for people and it to encompass both sports, marketing, and events. And I want it to be, like we've talked about, collaborate, don't compete. So I want women learning from each other, but also sharing their knowledge. So many of us have been in the industry for years and years, and then we have plenty of women just coming into the industry as well. And, I've learned stuff from you as we've produced these events the last few weeks, and I'm sure vice versa. So it's not just being old in the industry and passing on knowledge, like everyone new coming in is teaching too. So that's the big thing. And I would say the branding and marketing piece, I've always had an interest in marketing and branding. I went to graphic design school straight out of college and actually switched to sports later on. So it's always been a passion of mine. And for this, I just thought, let's get out of our comfort zone. Let's, run for a board position and dabble in it. And it just turned into a little bit more than a dabble.
That's awesome. I love hearing that, everybody getting out of their comfort zone, because that's definitely something that I struggle with, and I think a lot of women do. And it can be kind of intimidating trying to join a group of women. I don't know how other women feel about that, but personally, it is a little bit intimidating for myself. So like I said, it's just been an amazing experience through and through. And Caitlin, as our membership chair, could you tell us how our members could get a little bit more involved if they're interested in doing so?
Yeah, of course. So a great thing for getting involved is our newsletter, because we have all of our events, all of our resources, job postings, everything that we're doing is communicated through there. So that's a great place to start. Make sure that you're getting those. Another thing is on those we have feature Fridays. So the reason we're providing that information is so you can learn about other people in the group. So once you have that information, it's a great conversation starter to then reach out to those women. Everyone, I think, is in the same boat of they want to meet everyone, and especially now it's hard over social media and everything, but just reach out, send them a message, say, hey, I'm also in DWSC. I saw that you work here, or I saw your fun fact. I'd love to learn more about where you work, how you got there, anything like that. And I think everyone is just open to doing that. So don't be scared to do it.
I think it's amazing that we do that feature Friday. I love those. I always read them. So whenever somebody has one about them, I know your background now. So we're like friends, but you might not know me yet. But I think that's an awesome resource. It gets our name out there. So I love that we do that. And Stacy, I wanted to ask you, who the perfect candidate for DWSC? Who are we trying to reach?
Ideally, anyone. I mean, we have a great network of women already, and we just want to continue growing. Of course, women is our, main goal, but we also welcome men. We want allies as a part of our community as well. The big thing is that we're sports marketing and events, so it goes beyond just pro sports. It's marketing firms, event companies, college and high school athletics. Like, we want to expand, and as Christina said, we want to reach more people. We want anyone who is a part of any of these industries to come in and join us and learn from each other and share their knowledge.
Right, and I think it's important to let everyone know that we do have allies of our organization and that everyone is welcome. It's not just Denver Women's Sports Collective and we're only talking to women. I want that to be clear to everyone. We love everyone who reaches out to us, and that is something extremely important that I want everyone to remember. And then Caitlin, I wanted to ask you why you got involved with Denver Women's Sports Collective.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat of everyone just getting out of your comfort zone. I actually just got into the sports world January of this year and was only in the office for 6 weeks before we all went home. So when I heard about it, it was great for me to just meet other people because I wasn't even in the office to begin with. So it didn't matter if I was meeting people in the office or not. But it's just a great group of women. Everyone wants everyone to succeed. Everyone wants to grow, and everyone wants to meet each other and gain something from each other. So I think it's one of those things where, like everyone said, you don't know how to do it. You just kind of jump and see what happens. And eventually then you're doing it and you're like, oh, that's how it works. And it just works out that way.
Yeah, I definitely, I feel the same way. That's kind of exactly what I did. Just trying to put myself out there, and it seemed to work out pretty well for myself so far. So yeah. Like I said before, I absolutely recommend anyone who has any interest, absolutely reach out to one of us for sure. And Stacy, what resources could you give our audience members for DWSC?
Yeah, so as we've talked about, we have a ton of stuff in the works. So there are some things coming down the line. So just make sure you're keeping an eye on social media, on that newsletter. If you're not a member, get signed up on our website so you get that newsletter. But some things we have our website. We've got that up and going. Our job board is a work in progress. So our goal is to get positions up on there, and we want it to be more than just, if you've lost your job or you're looking for a new job. We want it to be if you have a job to share as well. So a lot of managers are members. So if you have a position you want posted, reach out to us and we'll get it on our job board, out in our newsletter. And then there's also resources on that page as well that we're putting together for resume building, interview tips, things like that. And then launching tomorrow in our newsletter, make sure you keep an eye out for that. We have our new professional resources page, and it's probably going to change and fluctuate as new things come about, but our goal is kind of a one-stop shop, as I mentioned, for podcasts, webinars, books, training. I mean, you name it, like anything we've been able to find over the last few months, we have just poured into this webpage so you can find everything all at once. And then the networking piece, as you've mentioned, like that Feature Friday, reaching out, like that's a simple, warm introduction for you as a resource. And then the events, attending those events, even if they're virtual. We have several coming up in the next month, and I recommend just trying to hit at least one a month or maybe every other month if you can't make it to everything. But we have met so many great people and connected a lot of people through those events. So attending those will be a great resource. And lastly, as mentioned, we're working on a podcast. So hopefully we can get some information out about that and get that launched soon as well. And a lot more to come beyond all of that as well.
Awesome. And I know Stacy is very thorough in everything that she does, but Caitlin, do you have anything else to add for our members, for any resources for them?
Yeah, a lot of other stuff that's coming up. We are going to have scholarship programs for students. We're going to have a mentor program, which is a huge one that I'm working on that I think is really exciting. So that everyone who's looking to mentor someone that doesn't exactly know where to meet that person, or anyone who's looking for a mentor coming into the organization as someone to kind of guide them, give them advice, all of that. We are working on that. So we'll have that up as soon as we can. And I'd also like to mention too, everyone who's on here, if you have any colleagues, any friends, anyone that you think would be interested, invite them to come to the next event, so that one, like when I started, I was like, I don't know any of these people. I will not be going to an event myself. So I went with people from work, and then they had someone to talk to when they were like, I don't want to go and meet 30 people all at once. So that's a great way for both you and other people to get involved, and I highly recommend that.
Absolutely.
Same with social media.
Yeah,
just share something. I know, Ryan, that's how you found us through social media. A lot of our members have found us through social media, just from a friend sharing it to another. So share it as much as you can.
Absolutely. I actually found it on LinkedIn. I was the weird one that found DWSC on LinkedIn, but I don't have any other social media. So yeah, I would definitely recommend sharing, inviting your friends, let everyone know about us. But thank you so much, Stacy and Caitlin, for that insight that you gave us. For our fourth and final segment of the night, we are bringing back all of our DWSC board members, and we are going to get a little bit more insight and advice from each of them. So Erin, I will start with you. What do you want to leave our audience members with tonight?
I would say, again, just take our example. And that's pretty much all we ask, is when someone reaches out to you, as you get into sports, you'll realize, one, it's very competitive, and two, a lot of people want our jobs. And I've always kept the mentality is I'll talk to anyone who wants to talk to me, and I'll try to help anyone that I can. And I just ask that you do the same. This industry is hard enough as it is. And the way I see it, the people that want to get in sports are going to get in sports whether I help them or not. So it might as well be someone that they can lean on and rely on. And one day when they're the VP and you want a director job that they have, like they'll remember that stuff. So selfishly be there for people, but also be there for people because it does come back around, and this industry is so small, it's going to be worth it in the long run to just treat everyone like that they belong here. So collaborate, don't compete.
Yeah, and joining DWSC will help you out with that.
Absolutely.
So Christina, what advice or resources would you like to add?
I was paying attention to everybody, and I have my glass of wine here, but I was listening to everybody. And one of the things that I was kind of catching from everybody was I stepped out of my comfort zone. And I think that is a very key point that I wanted to bring up again, because a lot of us don't feel comfortable stepping out of that zone. But the beautiful thing about this organization is that you have so much support with these women that it's okay. They're going to help you. And, all of us collectively, not just on this round table, but as including our members and our committees, they know somebody that knows somebody, or they can give you advice. And so it's okay. We're going to make some announcements later on. Erin's going to make some announcements. And if you're sitting there and you're kind of like, I don't know, that's okay. You don't need, if you're not 100% sure, at least try, because the first step is just getting out of that zone. And I think that tricks a lot of people, and they just don't feel comfortable and they're a little iffy. But you know what? It's like Erin said, you're going to put it out and it's going to come back.
Absolutely. I know Caitlin mentioned this earlier. She was like, I would not go to an event by myself. And I was like that for the Broncos event. I was like, I am not going to this event by myself.
But I remember specifically at that event, I met Caitlin in person because Sydney, I had met just through communication about this club and how she wanted to be involved and how excited she was. And Sydney was a huge part of getting this off the ground as well. But she stepped out of her comfort zone, and then she brought you into it as well. So there's nothing, we're not scary. We won't bite.
It's very intimidating.
I think I had like 3 or 4 beers in because there was alcohol. And, after I was done working and stuff, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have some beers. And
especially at the events with the alcohol, like we're definitely a lot more.
That's what happened to me. I got a couple. Go ahead. I was going to say, I just got like a glass of wine in me, and I got that liquid courage and talked to Christina, and now look where I am. I didn't know.
We support that.
You had an amazing idea. You're like, hey, I want to do a podcast. And it was like, hey, maybe we should have a podcast. And now it's like, hey, we're going to be doing this. And now you're the host and you're the face of DWSC. So you really honestly have no idea what's going to happen when you go to these events. You don't know if you're talking to somebody that, I think there was at one point you made an idea, you made a suggestion. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to talk to Erin. And one of your friends was sitting there and was like, I think it was Nicole, I think it was her name. Like she was sitting there as well. Yeah, she was sitting there and she was like, well, she's the person that you want to talk to about. You really honestly don't know who you're going to meet and who you're going to talk to and what they're going to be able to do for you, because, doors are going to open. You just have to step through that door and be okay with it. And so I think that that's what is so amazing about this organization.
It's funny because that night I was literally, what I was going to say before is I was literally like psyching myself out. I'm like, I'm going to look so stupid. I don't even like work in sports right now. I'm currently unemployed. Like, I don't know anyone. And I was just listening to all those negative thoughts in my head. And then like something was like, okay, Ryan, like you just need to go like turn that little voice off. And just do it. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? I mean, I could think of a few things that could go wrong, but
I'll finalize my thoughts with, I'm listening to a webcast of a friend of mine doing some edits for him, and he said something that really stuck with me. I wrote it in huge caps in my notebook today that said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality.
Yes, preach.
That is all in your head. I think we've all met mean girls in our life. That's not what this is. Especially from a professional standpoint, we're here to help and we always want to help. I'll probably regret saying this, but everyone on this call is welcome to reach out to me and set up a phone call. Especially right now when the hockey's not happening, take advantage, but we're here to help. And it has, and I'll echo Christina's sentiments, like, we are super passionate about giving Ryan these opportunities because we want to see her succeed and be here for her under our umbrella. And we didn't know you coming in. We didn't need this big resume we have just faith in the people that we're helping and faith in our mission. And I think that if you have an idea or you guys have a passion, like, let us know, like, let us be your resource. If we don't think it would work, maybe we'll give feedback, but we're going to be here to help you. So I'll leave you guys with that. Someone has already reached out to me saying they want to get more involved, which makes me so excited. So as you guys have ideas and you have things that you want to get involved in, like, please reach out to us. We are more than happy to create things to strengthen your resume, to connect you with the people you want to be connected with, and get you going in this crazy world that we live in of sports and events.
I definitely want to reiterate what Erin said is, like, I did not know anybody going into this. And like we've all been talking about, I just stepped out of my comfort zone just a little bit. And now I'm opening up doors for myself. And so I just thank all of you for everything that you've done for me, and that you're continuing to do for me.
And you got there and you realized that we like wine, so it was like a great fit. Like that's really what it is. You just get there and you're like, oh, they're red wine drinkers, perfect. You know, no, I'm just kidding. But I mean, yeah. And I mean, I feel like we could have a whole podcast just about you and the people that you've been able to meet in the last few months. But yeah, I just hope that instills confidence on everyone on this call to be more involved in and attend more of our events.
And I will never forget the conversation that I had with Allison, because she was like the first person that I talked to at the event. So thank you for being very kind and welcoming to me when I didn't know it. But do you have any other resources to add for our audience members, Allison?
I would just, any of the resources. Yeah, I mean, I think it really just speaks for itself. You know, we're all open. You know all of our names, and if anything, like I'm still a young professional too. So that's something I'm also just trying to continue to meet people, and I want to learn from other people too, you know, and kind of like Christina said, if you know you don't know about it, that's okay, and you can try it out, and if it's still not for you, let's still know each other and it's fine. Like I just think this is a great way for people to come together and have that thing that they have in common. And I just, out of personal experience, it's easier when I feel like I have an area, like a safe space area. It's a little bit easier to do things or go for it. As you know, aside from just having a LinkedIn full of all these different amazing people, and you're like, where do I even begin? Right? Like I have so many interests in general, and I'm sure other people do too. It gets a little overwhelming. So when I know I have a section of people that I'm like, okay, good, right? You know, they just start to become your people, and that's a really
give you a real direction as well.
Yeah. And Allison, I think you have a good story too, where I basically begged you to be the treasurer. No, I'm just kidding. But again, Allison was someone who really impressed me working at KSC, and she had been really involved from the start, and we approached her wanting her to be the treasurer, and just like all of us, she had doubts in her own capability. And I think she's actually absolutely excelled. I'm sure when we get in the nitty gritty of taxes and all that fun stuff, like we'll be failing together, because I definitely took accounting 3 times in college. But I think I really wanted you to tell that story, because I think like a lot of people just get hesitant and are scared of kind of to what a commitment like that entails. But I think like just being involved and doing what you know best and just leaning on the people around you, I think you've done a great job. So wanted to give you props on that.
Thanks, Erin. Well, you guys make it easy, and it is true. I remember I was a little hesitant. And honestly, going into, I'm like, I don't know that I like belong there, or you know, it just felt weird. But then you realize like, I can do it. It's just like anything, a new job, a new social situation. You just kind of got to jump in and go for it. So
that imposter syndrome, I suffer.
Amen.
All right, well, Cheryl, do you have any insight for our audience members to add?
It's hard because everyone's basically said everything. No, I just reiterating what everyone said. Don't be scared to reach out. I'm terrified around people that I don't know. So when I got invited, I was like, oh, this will be good. Like I'd heard about it from a few people that I knew. And then I like signed up for everything, and then I never got any of the newsletters, and I was like, oh, well, that's a bummer. I was really excited to be a part of this group. Like I was so excited, and then I never got anything. I was like, well, that's a bummer. And then someone else forwarded me something, and I was like, oh, finally, I'm in. And so I realized like everything was going to my spam box, and I was like, it wasn't that I wasn't getting it. I just
the struggle.
And so like my first event committee meeting that I joined, I was in Nebraska, and I knew the names of a lot of the people that were on the call because I've been in this business for like 15 years. So I know a lot of people's name, but I never like connected with them or reached out to them because I mean, it's hard to reach out to someone that you've not met in person or who you've met but haven't talked to in a long time. And I was terrified. I'm just that kind of way in general. Sorry, my dog's trying to eat something. And but just getting out of that zone of being like, okay, you have to do this. You want to be involved. You want to do this. Like, you need something else to do because you're bored out of your mind. Like, just do it, Cheryl. I had to talk myself through it, and I'm so glad I did. And you know, I've talked to a lot of my colleagues at the Broncos, a lot of my staff who work for me. And I'm just like, don't be scared to talk to someone. If you're not getting the information you need, reach out and talk to someone. Just don't be scared. Just go for it. Just because it'll be worth it in the end. I mean, I never expected to be the event chair. I was like, I have no idea about events. I don't know what to do. I still don't know what to do half the time. But I'm just like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fun. And with the support of everybody in this collective, you can't go wrong. Like, everyone's here to support each other. You're like my third family now. I have like 3 families, and I love it because I can't, I may get annoyed that I have so many meetings every week, but I do love it. I do love seeing everyone on the calls because we don't get to see each other in person. I'm like, oh, I really wanted to talk to Allison about something, or like I haven't seen Erin in a really long time. So it's really nice to connect. And the events that we're doing, I loved our cookie and networking event. It was so much fun. I didn't get to make my cookies while we were doing it because I was about ready to fall asleep from working, but I made them the next day, and I was like, oh man, this would have been so much fun while we were doing the call. But just getting to know some of the other people who were on there that people brought, it's just been really great. So my biggest advice, resources, just go for it. Go for it, and it'll totally be worth it in the end.
I love hearing everyone's like inner monologue of them doubting themselves and then seeing how successful all of you are. It just is very reassuring for myself because I don't feel as alone anymore with doubting myself and not always giving myself enough credit as I should. Cheryl, you're great at coordinating events, and I would never know that you didn't have any experience or not as much as you would like to prior to this. So thank you for that insight. And Erin, what'd you say?
Can I say one other thing? And I think it's not just the support from like the group, it's also like the support from my family. Like, my family is like, why are you doing this? Why? You don't need to do something else. And I'm like, yes, they do. And then they've seen how much I love it, and they're like, okay, this was a really good idea for you, Cheryl. This is really good for you to like break out of this scared bubble that you're in sometimes. So
I think too, like, I think the thing, and it's almost like a pet peeve of mine now, is I bet you every single person on this call who's gone to work in sports has heard, oh, you just don't have the experience. Well, how am I going to get the experience? You know, like where does it stop magic? Right. So like Cheryl stepped way out of her comfort zone, and got to give her a shout out too. Like, events is hard, very hard. I'm doing it on my side, like full time. And I'll tell you, like, when I get home, I don't want to talk about hockey. I don't want to watch hockey. I don't want to look at a picture of ballerina. Like, it's frustrating sometimes. Things go wrong. Like, and it's a huge undertaking, and you've done such a tremendous job, but it's because you've asked for help. And I think it's because you've gotten that experience. And say now you're in guest relations, and say an event spa open somewhere. Like, now you have this tremendous experience with all these people to back you up, which your day-to-day job right now might not have given you that opportunity, but like you went out and you got that experience. So I think that's another resource that we can provide is if you need experience in events, we have an events committee. If you want experience in sales, you want to get in the sponsorship and activation side, like we're starting up a sponsorship committee. So if there's a role and someone told you don't have the experience, like let us help you get that experience.
I think that's similar to kind of what Stacy is doing for DWSC. I mean, she didn't necessarily have, she's not working in animation or marketing currently, but she's doing an amazing job doing that for DWSC. So Erin, do you have any insight that you would like to share with our audience members?
Stacy, you mean?
I mean, sorry, not.
I was like, I think I gave enough insight. I think everyone on this call is like, shut up.
You're the president. You talk as much as you want to. This is your place. But yeah, Stacy, do you have any insight that you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what Erin just said. You know, if you don't have experience, you want it, this is a place to get it. I mean, you're a perfect example, Ryan. You know, you're wanting to build up your resume so that you can go on and get that dream job of yours. You're going to be able to take these webinar live stream series that you and I have collaborated on the last 4 weeks together. You know, that's huge for you. And, you know, you didn't have to go get an internship or a job for that. It was this group that helped you do that. And we have all of our committees that are a part of events, this branding and marketing side, which everything is kind of growing. You know, we don't even know what we're doing next. You know, every board meeting, there's a new idea. So we're developing something new that we might need, and, you know, someone else to come in and help with. And you could be that person. You know, you can jump on the socials committee and start doing social media if that's something you have an interest in. Or if you love events, joining Cheryl's committee. If you want to get into sales, membership would be great for you because you want to try to get more members on our committee. You know, we're going to have a sponsorship chair down the road helping with sales, and that is a great thing to have experience for. So reach out to any of us anytime. LinkedIn, email. You can find all of our stuff on the website, so feel free to reach out anytime.
Absolutely. I think there are so many resources here for so many different kinds of people who are trying to get into different outlets, and DWSC is an absolutely great resource for that. Caitlin, would you like to add anything for our audience members, some insight to leave them with?
Yeah, I'd say the last thing that we've basically touched on, but don't self-reject. Like if you think maybe I'd be good at this or maybe I'd suck at this, don't tell yourself no, because then if someone else does actually tell you no, like who cares? That's what you already expected. And then if they say yes, great. Then you have that opportunity that you would have taken yourself out of for absolutely no reason. Like even if someone says no, they're not mad that they said no, they just can't do it. So don't take yourself out of opportunities that could be really awesome for you.
Right. I think that's important for the people who have those negative inner monologues, like myself sometimes, that I suffer from. I think that's a really good piece of insight to leave everyone off with, Caitlin. So thank you for that. Before we go, we have some announcements from our president and vice president. So Erin, I will toss it over to you.
Awesome. So sorry, I ran into the other room, got to record the Bachelorette finale. I'll let you guys go, make this quick. I know that's very urgent. I wanted to just bring attention to our sponsorship chair, our last board position that we're looking to fill. This is, I think, a perfect segue and a perfect event to hold this. I have 11, 12 years of selling experience. So I don't want people to go into this thinking they need sales experience or that they need all the tools, right? This is a position that obviously will be really crucial, but we will have people will be assisting you in the process in getting set up. And it's the perfect opportunity to get experience if sponsorship sales is something that you think, or ticket sales or any type of sports sales is something that you think you might be interested in the future. So if you are interested in running, we will hold elections during one of our January events, but I can give you the description now to read through. Totally okay if you want to read through it and then decide it's not for you. But my email is president@DWSC.com, and I will shoot that over to you should you want it. And then I'm going to turn it over to my girl, Christina, for an announcement about our January event. Where's she at?
Christina?
Did we lose her?
Christina.
I see, that's how burnt out I am. I don't even want to do this announcement now, Erin. Like, it's
Come on, girl, you got this.
Who wants to hear my voice? We just, get somebody else to do it. I just want to sit here and drink my wine.
Listen, I know things have been rough for everyone this year, but just so we're clear, DWSC has a great event for that coming up in January. This will help rebuild your confidence and give you a little motivation.
So motivation, like how Chris Kistner, our life coach, is going to give discounted packages for our members that join the events.
That's right. And all fitness classes will be free. I repeat, free for our members. So I've said it before, but check out our socials, weekly newsletters, and sign up to get our information at denverwsc.com.
That sounds awesome. Like, we really need help for this 2021, and I'm done. I have no more energy. So a life coach workout or workshop and the workout, see all this wine I'm drinking because I'm burnt out. I already right? I feel motivated already. Thanks, Erin.
Well, that's why we're here, for wine and motivation.
One last thing about
To register for this event, sign up at denverwsc.com.
Thank you both for those announcements. I absolutely loved those. I need to get me a glass of wine after this event. So thank you for inspiring me, Christina and Erin. That will wrap it up for our 4-part series of Denver Women's Sports Collective Career Development, the before, during, and after progression in sports events and marketing. Thank you so much to all of our guests every week who shared all of their insight with us. Thank you to all of you who have tuned in each week, and a very, very special thank you to our DWSC board members, Erin, Christina, Allison, Cheryl, Stacy, and Caitlin. Keep an eye out on social media for upcoming events. I'm Ryan Guy. Happy holidays to all, and to all a good night.